Hello, everyone. This lesson that we're going to be going over today is going to describe a home hazard hunt. It's presented by your emergency services team here at the Bear River Health Department. My name is Alicia Toscano, and I'll be going into this topic with you today. So, thank you so much for joining us. Our objectives for today for this lesson include first laying out what a home hazard hunt is. Then we'll discuss why it's important to have and to not only have but practice a home hazard hunt. Then it will be followed by identifying the common hazards within your home. And then we'll review some good to have items and also how to practice using those items. Okay, so what comes to our mind when we hear the phrase home hazard hunt? So thankfully, the name is fairly self explanatory. So ultimately, the goal of a home hazard hunt is to help you identify various hazards that exist in your home and how to minimize the various dangers of them. So, what hazards exist in your home? So, take a moment to consider what things could be dangerous to you, your family members, to pets, and so forth. Um, so take a look around the room and kind of get an idea of what comes to mind when we talk about that. But then what hazards also exist in our immediate area. So when a disaster hits, sometimes we're also at work. So if when you go to work, so take a moment, look around your office, identify the hazards in your immediate area. And so I know for me, there's a large non-openable window that's next to me. There's ceiling tiles and a light above me and an unsecured storage shelf behind me. So all of these present a danger during an earthquake. So just take a minute, take a look around, and think about what those hazards could be for a second. So home hazard hunt, we know that conducting a brief home hazard hunt can help bring light to any potential dangers. And since our primary natural disaster threat here in Utah is an earthquake, so that's going to be our goal as far as preparing for a home hazard hunt today in this video. So first, physical dangers. Like we said in the last slide, what can be included in a physical danger are items such as non-secured bookshelves or items that could fall off and harm yourself and children or anybody in the house. So that could be like unsecured pictures or big TVs that are now mounted on the walls, bookshelves, like we said, anything that's kind of hanging and not secure. So chemical dangers, those include cleaning solutions in easily accessible locations, and we'll go into that a little more. So fire along with smoke and carbon monoxide. If we do have a big earthquake, it will definitely prevent or present a fire hazard. And a lack of general preparation. So having no fire extinguishers for those fires, no smoke alarms, or having smoke alarms that are out of batteries, not having a first aid kit, or no family emergency plans. So let's go over this a little more in detail in our next few slides. First, we're going to hit on the physical dangers. To begin, we're going to go through common potential hazards in your home. And starting with our physical dangers, in an earthquake, any items that aren't secured can become dangerous projectiles as they fall off of the shelves. And those physical dangers can include, like we said, home electronics such as our TVs that are now on the walls. Sometimes we now have speakers, sound systems, those kinds of things. Furniture, cabinets, doors, heavy shelving, etc. Anything like that could just fall on you, especially if you have young children. Any hanging objects or wall mounted things, like I said, such as pictures and especially mirrors, those present a couple of dangers, so make sure those are secure. One thing that we all have that we may not think of because it's just there and we never worry about it unless our water's not hot is a water heater. You're definitely going to want to make sure that that's secure. a chimney, and you're also going to want to reinforce any weak crawl space walls. So those are some physical dangers as you walk through to take a look at, see what you need to secure, and what kind of things can be dangerous to your family. So next, we'll discuss the chemical dangers within your home. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail. So chemical dangers can come in many forms, ranging from substances like bleach, gas leaks, smoke hazards, or other substances. Um, so in addition to smoke and carbon monoxide, those present a danger themselves. So make sure that you're regularly checking those detectors. So smoke detectors themselves expire and should be replaced every 10 years. And then also if you have batteries, if they're not hardwired in, make sure you're changing those batteries. And carbon monoxide detectors are, a lot of those are even at the 7-year mark. You'll want to replace gas lines if possible with flexible connectors. So these reduce the chance of them breaking if moved, such as during an earthquake. In addition to this, make sure you know how to shut off your gas and other utilities to your home. That was one that I didn't know about. There are special tools for turning off your gas. But one thing that you want to make sure before you turn off your gas is that once you turn off your gas lines, they do have to be, you do have to contact your gas company to turn those back on. So that's not going to be something you're going to want to run out and turn off. But by our toilets, there's turning off our water in case something like that happens. Make sure that you know the basics on how to turn things off. Finally, secure flammable liquids to be away from potential sources of ignition. So any chemicals that are stored in easily accessible locations. So those can present a danger to any curious children, pets, anyone that's able to open undersink drawers. And these can be tipped over, can be ignited, inhaled, or ingested. So you'll want to make sure that all of your chemicals that can be mixed are somewhere where they're not accessible. Um, so anything that comes in contact with you, make sure that they're secured in a safe location away from little hands. So fire dangers. So this is going to be the final hazard that we'll discuss, and let's jump into fire hazards. Um, so there are multiple fire dangers in an average home. There's electrical fires, along with gas leaks or other flammable substances that can ignite. So make sure you have a tool, like we said in the last slide, to shut off your utilities in an event of an earthquake. Also, make sure you know the locations of your home, or if you're in an apartment, where your fuse box is. Sometimes that's not one we think about unless we blow a fuse, and some of us might still not know how to fix that. So make sure you know those common things. Also, again, we can't emphasize enough to ensure that smoke detectors are functioning with batteries, and that fire extinguishers, they're located in your home. Um, one of Ideally, you want one in every location of a potential fire or fuel ignition, such as like one in the kitchen, one in the garage. Um, just think of where common fires can start. And a lot of us will have a kitchen nowadays upstairs and then also a kitchen downstairs. So it would be a good idea to have a fire extinguisher if you have two kitchens in both of those areas now, as well as a garage. So some sources of a fire include broken gas lines or hot water heater or oven, um, electrical fires, which are poorly installed wiring that you may not even know that's poorly installed, and grease fires from cooking. So that is one that can happen every day, not just during a disaster. So um, that is where those fire extinguishers are definitely going to come in handy. So make sure you have them, and not only that you have the fire extinguishers, but that you also know how to use them, and that you're kids, teenagers that are old enough to use them know how to do that as well. Maybe take them outside and practice. So, and another great idea is if you live in a two-story home or an upper apartment, you might want to consider purchasing or adding deployable ladders to various exits. Um, in case of a fire or something downstairs where our kiddos can't um, go downstairs and then go out the front door and escape, you may want to look into practicing how they would get out if they were upstairs in their bedrooms, and looking at these deployable ladders and other ways for them to get out safely is definitely something you're going to want to consider practicing. So let's see, our suggested activities for today is if you have small children, a good activity in addition to other aspects of a home hazard hunt is to crawl around your home on your hands and knees. I know that sounds funny, but this gives you a different perspective and allows you to see what hazards are at their level, at their eye level. Their eye level is definitely very different than ours, and you would probably be surprised at what you would see. So then you can easily see these issues. You can address them, such as electrical wires, maybe sharp counters, corners, and more. One thing that's always so appealing to little ones is our electrical outlets. So you want to make sure that you have those kinds of things covered. So let's go over some good to have items in your home that cover the three areas of potential hazards that we just spoke about. So here's an overview. Physical good to have items include fasteners and flexible gas lines like we talked about. So these can secure your various items. And then again, chemical preparations including lockable storages. It can be childproof, can help keep prying hands from accessing any hazardous chemicals or materials. For fires, again, ensuring smoke detectors, carbon monoxides are current, have batteries. Also having fire extinguishers, one or two or more, placed throughout the house. So those can provide some additional coverage. And one thing we haven't yet talked about is first aid kits. In general, having a couple of first aid kits and also flashlights throughout the house. They're very important. They are definitely something that you should have in your at-home kits. The first thing we're going to lose, folks, is power. And if that's during the day, that's fine. But eventually, it's going to go into nightfall. Flashlights are important, and first aid kits are definitely something that's going to help, even with the smallest bumps, things like that. First aid kits, you'll want to make sure if you have a couple of those, it's easy to take things out of those and not replace them. So please make sure that if you do have your first aid kit somewhere, which most of us do, where it's like, here's Band-Aids, here's these kinds of things, that we're replacing those in case of an emergency. You never want to go and need something in your first aid kit and it's not there. So regularly check those. Show your family where they're at, where they're located, and maybe there's items in there that you need to go over how to use. If you have tourniquets or things like that, depending on what type of first aid kit you have, make sure people know where they're at, know how to use them, and that it's full at all times. So a few additional resources that we have on here. Specifically, we have a printable checklist for a home hazard hunt. And then we also have some earthquake information on these websites, which the earthquake one is through FEMA, and then the other one, their actual checklists. So those are kind of nice to walk through with your family, with kids, get them thinking about what they think, what they see as hazards. Get the family involved, make it a fun activity for everyone. Ready.gov has some great resources on all of the topics that we teach. So they have great videos for kids, coloring sheets that you may want to add into first aid kits to keep the little ones busy are always great ideas. So, please, after you watch this video, maybe visit these websites, take a look around, and see what would be of value to your families, as we're all different. And I want to thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, please contact us here at the Bear River Health Department. And you can send any questions to roadmap at brhd.org. And we would be happy to answer any of those or give you any additional resources that we can. So thanks for joining us. I hope everyone got something out of this video, and have a great day.